So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most fundamental forces in all of economics: demand. Think of it like this invisible current that guides what gets made and where it goes, all across the globe. We're going to dive into the hidden language of our desires and see how it literally shapes our world.
Have you ever just stopped and wondered how the market knows how many smartphones to make or how many coffee shops a city needs? I mean, there's no big committee somewhere making these calls, and yet somehow it all seems to work itself out. What's the secret?
Well, here's the thing. Markets don't think, they listen. And what are they listening to? Well, it's the collective voice of all our desires, all our choices, and all our limitations. In one simple word, they're listening to demand.
Okay, so to really get this language, you gotta start with its most basic rule of grammar, one that, honestly, we all kind of know deep down. It's called the law of demand. The idea here is super simple, right? If something gets more expensive, we buy less of it. If it goes on sale, we buy more. But this isn't just some casual observation. It's actually built on some really deep economic ideas. Things like scarcity, opportunity cost, and, this one's a biggie, the fact that we almost always have other options we can switch to. All right, we need to get something really important straight right now. A change in the quantity demanded is just you reacting to a price change. It's you moving from one point to another along that demand curve. But a change in demand itself, whoa, that's a whole different ballgame. That's when something besides the price makes the entire market change its mind, shifting the whole curve left or right. So what could possibly cause a shift that big? Well, it turns out there are a bunch of these outside forces that can totally shift our desire for a product, no matter what the price tag says. Let's check them out. So there are 5 key things to watch for. First up, an obvious one, our tastes and preferences just change. Second, our income. I mean, if we're making more money, we tend to buy more stuff, right? Third, the price of other goods, whether they're substitutes or things that go together. Fourth, just the raw number of consumers out there. And finally, our expectations about the future. If you think the price of something is about to shoot up, you're probably going to buy it today. So knowing that we react to prices, that's one thing. But figuring out how much we react, now that's where things get really, really interesting. And this whole concept has a name: elasticity. This is the key question. Think about it like this. If your favorite coffee shop jacks up its prices by, say, 10 cents, are they going to lose just one customer or 100? The answer to that question is what tells them if they just made a great business decision or a terrible one. So, elasticity gives us these 3 basic scenarios. If demand is elastic, it means we're super sensitive to price changes. This happens a lot when you've got plenty of substitutes. If the coffee shop next door didn't raise its prices, we're just going to walk over there. Easy. If it's inelastic, we don't really change our habits much. Think about essential medicine. People need it, so they'll pay higher prices. And unitary is just that perfect middle ground where everything balances out. So, what's the secret sauce that makes something elastic or not? Well, first, and this is the big one, the availability of substitutes. Second, what percentage of our budget it takes up. We're way more sensitive to the price of a car than a pack of gum. Makes sense, right? Third is the time we have to adjust. And finally, whether the thing is a luxury we can do without or an absolute necessity. Okay, now that we've got the basics down, let's look at something really cool, a kind of counterintuitive effect that seems to flip what we think we know about prices right on its head. This is called the Alchian-Allen effect. And what it says is that if you take 2 versions of a product, a cheap one and an expensive one, and you add the exact same fixed cost to both of them, people will actually start buying more of the expensive one. Sounds totally backwards, right? Okay, let's use a classic example to make this crystal clear. Imagine you're in California, and you can buy a simple table wine for $5, or a really nice quality wine for $20. Right there in California, that $20 wine is 4 times the price of the $5 one. That's a pretty big price gap. Okay, but now let's ship both of these wines all the way to Australia. And let's say there's a flat, fixed cost for shipping and taxes, say $10 per bottle. It doesn't matter if it's the cheap stuff or the good stuff, it's $10 either way. And this is where the magic happens. In Australia, that cheap wine now costs $15, and the expensive one costs $30. All of a sudden, the quality wine is only 1.5 times more expensive, not 4 times. Relatively speaking, the premium wine just became a much better deal. And this is why you might find that people in Australia are often drinking better California wine than the people in California. That fixed cost actually shrinks the relative price difference. So what this amazing example shows us is that demand and prices aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. No, they're part of a much, much more complex language. The great economist Alfred Marshall had this perfect analogy. He compared supply and demand to the two blades of a pair of scissors. You need both to cut. Now, demand is only half the story, sure, but it's the half that's all about us. It's our desires, our needs, and our values, all wrapped up in one. You know, every single time you buy something or choose not to buy something, you're casting a vote. It's a little piece of information you're sending out into the world, telling producers and entrepreneurs what you value, what they should make more of, and where society's precious, scarce resources should go. So the next time you see a price tag, don't just think of it as a cost. Think of it as one piece of a vast global conversation that's coordinating the actions of billions of people. Because your demand, that's your voice in that conversation.